This is the Arch of Septimius Severus, standing prominently in the Roman Forum since 203 AD. It was built to celebrate the military victories of a single family, but if you look closely at the inscription up top, you'll find the physical evidence of a state-mandated disappearance. On the fourth line of text, the marble has been carved back so deep it sinks into the stone. These jagged marks were left when the original bronze letters were ripped out, only to be replaced by new titles for the surviving emperor, Caracalla. The name originally fixed to this stone was Geta, Caracalla's younger brother. After his death in 211 AD, the Senate was coerced into issuing a damnatio memoriae. It was an official condemnation that legally mandated the destruction of a person's entire public existence, from the faces on their coins to the names on their monuments. Caracalla's administration moved to eliminate every living trace of his brother's influence. The state tracked down and executed an estimated 20,000 people, anyone from Geta's personal guard to the intellectuals and servants who had worked in his household. Wiping out 20,000 citizens and defacing the capital's largest monuments creates a visible, echoing void. This scale of destruction serves as a permanent record of the purge itself, a level of violence that suggests Geta's memory alone was viewed as a threat to the stability of the new regime. This survives as a portrait of Caracalla. The short military beard and the famously aggressive scowl were highly deliberate, designed to project the image of a soldier emperor who ruled through strength. Geta was described in stark contrast. Contemporary accounts detail a melodic voice, a slight stammer, and a personality that was studious rather than militaristic. He surrounded himself with the writers and intellectuals of his mother's court, though he was also noted for a strange obsession with extravagant, themed banquets. This internal rivalry was managed geographically during the British campaign of 208 AD. Their father, Septimius Severus, moved the imperial court to Eboracum, modern-day York, to stabilize the northern frontier, marked by Hadrian's Wall. While Severus and Caracalla commanded the legions in the Caledonian Wars to the north, Geta was entrusted with the civil administration of the province. From the capital at York, he managed the logistics, judicial systems, and the complex bureaucracy of the Roman state. Geta proved remarkably effective in this administrative role. His competence in the rear, combined with a striking physical resemblance to his father, began to transform him into a legitimate political alternative to his brother's erratic behavior. When Emperor Severus died in York in early 211, the brothers inherited the throne as co-emperors. During the journey back to Rome, they refused to share meals or lodgings, living in constant fear that the other would use the journey to administer poison. Once in the capital, they physically bisected the imperial palace on the Palatine Hill. They built barricades to block the corridors, ensuring the servants of one emperor could never interact with the other, effectively splitting the Roman government in two. The stalemate became so severe that they drafted a plan to cleave the Roman Empire into two separate states. Caracalla would rule the west from Rome, while Geta would move his capital to the east, establishing a new senate in Antioch or Alexandria. Their mother, Julia Domina, used her significant political authority to veto the plan. She argued that while they could divide the land and the sea, they could not divide their mother, and she feared a geographic split would lead inevitably to a catastrophic civil war. Without a partition, the joint rule remained paralyzed. The only barrier to open conflict was a mother's influence over two sons who were already actively attempting to kill one another. In late December 211, Caracalla feigned a desire for reconciliation. He asked Julia Domna to arrange a private meeting in her apartments, where both brothers could meet unarmed and without their bodyguards. Geta arrived alone, trusting in the sanctuary of his mother's presence to protect him. As they met, a group of centurions loyal to Caracalla burst into the room. Geta fled to his mother, clinging to her neck for safety as the soldiers closed in. Geta was struck down and killed while still in his mother's arms. The attack was so violent that Julia Domna was wounded in the struggle, her clothes completely soaked in her youngest son's blood. In the aftermath, Caracalla forbade his mother from mourning. To ensure her own survival, she was forced to celebrate the murder of her son as if it were a stroke of political good fortune. The purge reached private monuments like the Arch of the Argentari. Look at the empty space next to the surviving figures. Geta's entire figure was chiseled away with such force it left behind only a rough, unfinished texture. Caracalla succeeded in removing his brother from the records, but he created a new kind of monument in the process. The gouges in the marble and the sanded-off faces on coins survived as permanent, tactile evidence of the very man he tried to make the world forget.